Are you stuck? What about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for 30-minute moments as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. It's time to celebrate that life with 30-minute moments.
Welcome to 30-Minute Moments, and this show is all about ease and betterment in your life. And I'm your host, Alena Chapman. I'm so happy I can bring this to you. You know, I started thinking, I had just talked to a client, and most people that I work with, that I talk to even, I find that the fear isn't that they're going to fail. And the fear isn't about something outside themselves most of the time. But when it really comes down to it, when it really comes down to the real nitty-gritty, they're really afraid of how much power they really have. And you're saying, no, Alena, no. But it's true. To really feel, because they feel with all that power, it's going to change things in their life. Isn't that interesting? And yet what they want is change. But that just is overwhelming. But this power that we have inside, the power to really create, the power to change any situation that we're in, the power to believe in ourselves. And yet, what do we do all the time? We put barriers. We look outside ourselves. Outside ourselves to be happy, outside ourselves to okay the moves we're taking, outside the self to tell us these relationships are okay, outside of ourselves to make sure our opinions are all right and that they conform. Always outside ourselves, and yet there is a seed inside you. And if you feed it, it grows bigger and bigger. And the power you have will just astound you. And all the happiness is inside you, all the joy is inside you, all the purpose and the mission is inside you, all the acceptance is inside you, and all the beauty that you surround yourself and you live in is inside of you. The relationships, the love, just everyday occurrences is inside you if you only start to open. I thought I would leave that with you. And today's show, by the way, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's relationship with self. And I have my awesome, she's a friend. She's just a doll. She's an absolute doll. Her name is Candace Harper. Now, she's been on the show before, and because she's a friend, she's here again. She helps hardworking women who have survived abuse become vibrant, alive, magnetic, and passionate. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys, while creating healthy relationships. She's a coach, she's a mentor, a speaker, and a healer who uses a combination of her years of coaching education, and she has a BA and an MFA and a lifetime of learning and growing, and that's really the school, through her own experiences in order to create programs that bring women and couples into alignment with a deep level intimacy and romantic wellness we all crave. And yes, we do. She can be seen and heard live every Monday. She has her own show, and she's had me on there twice, and it was so fun. One time I was a host, and it's called Ask for a Candy, and it's on Facebook, too. She's previously appeared as a relationship expert on the Bill Cunningham show, Arise 360, and she's been on total numerous panels. And by the way, she's going to be at Inevitable You November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at Columbia University with me, Elizabeth Gilbert, Candace, because what we're doing is, I'll tell you, this is going to be a journey of learning by playing. We are going to play, we're going to have fun, because we all believe that the more you do, the more you remember, the more you can simulate it into your life. And we're going to tap in. And who better than me and Elizabeth and Candace to do that? And with that, hey, Candace, hello, sweetie.
Hi, my love. How are you? I'm so happy to be back.
Oh, I am so happy to have you. So, all right, we're going to start talking about relationship with self because I'll tell you, sometimes that's the most scariest thing. I wanted to ask you right off the bat, and this happened to me when I first started or when I was trying to get back to the magic in my life when I had lost it. When I looked inside, I really saw darkness. And what do you say when people they think, okay, having a relationship with myself, but when I look inside, I see darkness, I see criticism, I see self-judgment. What do you say to people?
Well, I mean, absolutely, that's a completely normal thing because we are conditioned to think that exactly what you said in the beginning. First of all, I love everything that you said in the beginning.
Thank you.
To think that, we're conditioned to think that how we see ourselves is an external force. Whether it's what our parents told us or what our teachers told us, our siblings, how we grew up. We're conditioned to think that that's where we're supposed to define ourselves from.
So let's give them an example because I mean that's perfect. But so give them an example of what, like for instance, if someone's always calling you fat and you're not fat, you'll still see yourself fat, correct?
Exactly, and that's in its most simple form. I talk a lot about the mother-daughter relationship, and without trying to villainize mothers, but I do work with a lot of women who come from abusive mother-daughter relationships, and it can just be how my mother talked to herself. And so that's what I picked up on.
Yes.
Her story and her history, or it could be actually how she talked to me. There's a number of ways that we get this sort of false definition of self, and then when we get to a point in our lives, and we all get to some point where it's, there's a crisis or, there's a turning point, or we have to show up in a way that we never have before. And then that inspires us to want to look inside and find the strength. And if we've been spending all these years listening to other people and
believe it.
And we start to believe it because we don't know not to. It's like there's nothing there, right?
Yeah, because we don't accept. What we see, what it does is everything that people tell us, we believe. And then a lot of times they negate our gifts. And so those gifts turn into faults. And so what we look at inside, I always go back to, okay, you're very bossy. You're too assertive. I was told I was too assertive because I don't know why, but
because so many of us women are
we are, and we're told
your own ideas.
Yes, but it wasn't good to be, especially when I was growing up. We were supposed to be feminine. And there were proper ways to do things. Agreeable, polite. Don't knock down those comfort zones. Keep everybody happy. And so when you look inside and you see this assertive person, you see this person who is more on the leadership, bossy level, who knows what she wants, but yet you're not supposed to. Then you think that's darkness. You criticize it. You're way too bossy. You can't be so assertive all the time. You don't understand what it's like, and you start talking yourself down. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Here's the thing. It's not like it's some light switch that you flick on, or it's one of those things where it's our life's journey to understand that it comes from within, like what you were talking about. It's our life's journey to be able to have an evolution. Life is an evolution. So that's what we're given. We're given all this outside stuff, this external stuff, and none of it's wrong. None of it's wrong. We never want to villainize where we came from, even if we feel like it's the worst ever. All of it is meant to show us and grow us. Show us how to look inside. True. And that's what it's there for.
And plus, if we start making that the enemy, we miss part of the journey. I always say that. If we say that's awful, then it really puts us... how do I want to say it? It actually makes us not look at it. We throw it away, but yet... and what we really need to do is to look at it. We need to look at it. We need to look at even my relationship with my mom, which is really good now. But when I was growing up, it wasn't always. And sometimes she'll even refer back to that in her opinion. which I think is so interesting. And I don't correct her anymore. It's not worth it. But I've already dealt with it. And I understand why I did the things I did. I also understand why she did the things she did, because I went back there. And I learned, and I've accepted, and I've grown from, and I've also forgiven. And it is a process.
Well, what you're talking about is the growing yourself up. It's the rite of passage. Like in our culture, we have a lot of rites of passage that are symbolic. Like, if you're Catholic, you have your Holy Communion, your confirmation. If you're, Baptist, like I was raised, you'll have your baptism, at 13 or whatever, the bat mitzvahs. There's a lot of, rites of passage that are symbolic. But in our culture, we don't necessarily know how to have that moment between your same-sex parent where they say to you, I see you as an individual separate of me. And so we have to
that's fantastic.
Right?
Yes, we don't.
Individual.
We're one of the few. These modern society, we do not have that.
Yeah.
And yet Indians, Native Americans had that.
Absolutely. Where it's not just a symbol, it's an actual conversation, and something does actually shift in your life. We sort of have turned it into a capitalistic kind of social status type of thing. Like, how big was your Sweet 16 party? Well, who cares how big it was if you didn't have a conversation with your mom where your mom, sort of passed the baton that you are a woman, and now that you are a woman, you have certain rights and responsibilities, and you want to learn about yourself, and you want to do things because you want to do them, not because I want you to do them.
Exactly.
We don't do that in our culture.
No, we don't. We've got to continue this. So you are with Candace and myself, Alena Chapman, and we are going to talk more, Candace Harper, I should say, and we are talking more about this. This is a big issue. You're listening to 30-Minute Moments. See you soon.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments. I'm your host, Alena Chapman, and we are with Candace Harper, and we're talking about starting to have that powerful relationship with self. And why wouldn't you, for heaven's sakes? You are you. So, Candace, we're talking about this, all this, this going back and starting to deal with these, what we think are our faults, whether they come from our mother, the relationship with our mother. But we touched upon something that I think really needs some clarification. We talked about how our culture right now is not, we don't have that pass the baton. We never become separate from our parents. Our parents my gosh, you're at 50 and they're still telling you what to do. You know what I mean? It's true. And so really, don't you think that with that, we have to be the ones, and it's becoming harder because millennials, for heaven's sakes, because of money, they're still living at home. Where's that baton being passed?
Right? No, absolutely. But here's the thing. Even if you are still living at home, the idea of the rite of passage and being able to give it to yourself is just being willing to choose. So I get to choose for myself, understand that I get to be who I want to be. Now, there might be external limitations. Like you mentioned, if I'm 22 years old and I'm still at home and, maybe my job situation isn't what I want it to be, I'm in a perfect position to now start exploring who am I?
Exactly.
And what do I want to create in the world, and how do I do that within the limits that I currently have so that I can change those limits? And if I'm older and I'm on my own and I'm independent, I still could be ruled by my experience growing up, what my parents told me. So that's an opportunity to ask myself the question, who am I and who do I want to choose to be just because I can? I don't need to
just because I can. And even if you are someone who is, okay, so you really are not feeling confident and you're not feeling good about yourself, to start to feed yourself that you do have a choice to change that perception about yourself. That's a humongous rite of passage. And it also, it gets you to start to set boundaries. It gets you to start taking the first steps. All you have to do is ask the question. Yeah. All you have to do is open that door. Yeah. Right?
I always say the first steps are always in the inquisition. The moment that we're willing to ask questions and not just believe what we believe, think what we think, be stuck in what it is that we think we know.
Preconceived notions. Yes.
Yeah. Already knowing the stuff we grew up with. The moment that we're willing to question our own beliefs, question the beliefs of others, really start an exploration, we get to discover that there are other options and choices for how we can think. And if how we think isn't working for us, and you can tell by what's showing up in your life,
yes,
and it's time to question, the way that I see this, is this really working? And it's not a right or wrong conversation.
No, nothing is right or wrong. Nothing is right or wrong. It's up to you. And really, when we start asking who we are, we're not the mom. We're not the daughter. We're not the bossy person. We're not the teacher or whatever. We start to take away the labels. If you start to take away those labels, you will start to see you. And I think that's a big, giant thing, because I think the labels hold people up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing about it. It's what it really comes down to is, do I want to define myself by what someone else says I am or what I say I am? So, Mel Robbins says that the cost of your new life is your old one.
Yes.
And so, the way to shed the old one, and it can be a scary thing, because if I'm used to being, my mom used to always tell me that I'm bad at math but good at art. So in that identity, there's a lot, right? Decisions that I made based on that. Granted, that's not that serious of a thing, but I have a choice.
Well, sure it is.
Because bad in math meant bad with money for me growing up.
Exactly. Yes.
Right?
Yes, because you have to count. It's math.
Exactly. And in order to change that paradigm for myself, I have to be able to say, okay, I don't want that label bad at math. So what am I going to do to change that label? I can choose to be good at math. What do I need to do to be good at math?
Exactly.
Well, I need to actually work with money. I need to pay attention to money. I need to, do the things that actually are action steps, that I'm not any less capable than the person next to me who, I went all the way to MFA. Why am I telling myself that I'm bad at anything? You know what I'm saying?
I know. Isn't that the truth? And I always think we tell kids so much, even dyslexia. Because I had dyslexia. My parents never told me. And my dad instead, and I give this so much credit, he didn't tell me. What he did was, all of a sudden I was listening to these phonetic things, these records. I can still remember them. And then he taught me how to focus, this incredible focus. And when I learned that, my gosh, I have 3 degrees and 3/4 of a doctorate under my belt. Wow. And 4.0s and 3.9s. Yeah. Who's ever heard of that? And yet I see other kids who are told they have dyslexia, are trained in dyslexia. You're different. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden what happens is they are different and they don't attain. They think, if they just get into a college, they'll be okay. I didn't think there was a life if you didn't go to college. Do you see the difference? Yeah. I didn't see limitation. Okay. Yeah, so it is.
It's a product of your belief.
It's a product of your belief. Nothing should hold you back from being who you want to be and who you are and how you want to have your life.
Yeah, I think it's Abraham Hicks who always says a belief is just a thought you keep on thinking.
Exactly.
So you change that thought. Practicing a new thought, you have different actions. It sounds so simplistic, but it really is. We get so attached to what we think and what we think we know, and we don't want to let go, even when but we can let go.
And then we think it's impossible. I want to be, and you think something really outrageous or something that you think is outrageous. All right. You don't think you're there yet. So say to yourself, I am becoming this person. And when you put that becoming, it gives you a possibility. It gives you, I am becoming the next president of the United States. I'm becoming the top model. And then before you know it, you're starting to look for avenues to start to become that person. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're open. When we're willing to, when we're willing to just declare something for ourselves, just by choice, just by our word, you are more apt to be open to when the opportunities come and seeing them as possibilities. So from a disempowering story, like I could never do that, the opportunities could come and you won't even recognize them because you're in the story of I could never do that. But, the moment that
That's right.
You know what, I can have this thing. I can do this thing that I really want to, that's in my heart's desire. Even if my parents always told me I couldn't, even if my teacher said I was stupid, I can do this thing. All I got to do is declare that. And then all of a sudden, when the opportunities show up, it's like, you know what? I can do this thing. I'm going to go to that job fair. I can do this thing. I'm going to go to that, meetup or whatever it might be.
Right.
And that's how people grow success.
And that is how you start to do the baby steps that gives you the confidence, which get bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you are who you want to be.
Yeah.
This is 30-Minute Moments, and we are going to be back with my favorite part of the show, guys.
This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner self every Sunday on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments, and guess what? It is the shift, the shift, the shift. So here we go, guys. This is the aha moment, that pivotal moment that changes something in us and our lives. And Candace, what do you have for your story?
My aha moment story. So we were talking during the break earlier about my shaving my head, right?
Yes, she shaved her head, folks. Oh, my gosh. And she looks so cool. She looks elegant and so distinguished. I love it. Yes.
Thank you so much. And, you can't see through radio what the difference was because you remember before, Alena, I had a whole lot of hair on my head.
Beautiful hair.
And thank you. So along the lines of what we've been talking about self-definition, for the longest time, I sort of, through my adult life, struggled with hair loss and, hair coming out here and bringing it back. Oh, yeah. And I did a lot of things to either bring it back or add to it or add extensions or, at a point it got to I
didn't know that.
Yeah. So, because I kept them very natural, right? I was really good. I was like an artisan at keeping it very natural looking.
You really were.
Thank you. And what I realized through that whole journey, that whole process, is what I was doing is I was attaching myself to what I thought my value was. And what I was always told was that I was pretty when I was growing up. And that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but I really had a strong idea that was my value. My value and was what I looked like.
And see, that's not good.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. It's not workable for what I'm up to. And what I teach is radical self-acceptance. And the aha moment that I had was that if I'm really going to deliver this message and have people understand that whatever you are given is something there to grow you and is for you, not against you, I'm going to have to start looking at my life and looking at what's there for me and being willing to accept and surrender into it so that I can use it for what it is. And so I had an aha moment that a huge symbol of my self-acceptance would be to give up this fight of trying to hold on to a full head of hair that's not there. And I surrendered the fight, and the moment I surrendered the fight, it's like my freedom, my release, myself, my real personality, my message, everything got exponentially stronger and just happier and just more of me in such an authentic way.
And you really had to let go. You thought, even though you're really beautiful, you thought you were letting go of that label. I'm pretty.
Yeah.
That's big. That's humongous.
Huge. And here's the thing, and as much as I love the compliments that you're giving, because everybody loves compliments, I've gotten way more compliments on the way that I look now that I've shaved my head.
Yes, you do.
Than I did while I was fighting to have all of that hair.
That's amazing. And I'm so excited because you're going to be at the event teaching this.
Yes. Exactly.
I am so excited
radical self-acceptance.
because that radical self-acceptance, it feeds your soul. It's all about it's all about opening up to the creativity. It's all about, because if you are worried about always looking pretty and you're fighting putting your hair in and you're fighting to hold up to this label, how can you have time to tap into the creative spirit, folks? You can't. You can't tap in. You're too filled with the labels. So, we're going to be there. I'm so excited to have you. It's in New York City. That's your hometown at Columbia University. It's going to be so awesome having you. And I think she's going to be on Sunday. It's a Saturday, Sunday, November. Well, and Friday night we do the masquerade party. You are coming, Candace, to the masquerade party. You got your mask ready, right?
I don't have it ready yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay. And we have tickets on sale now. Guys, if you want to come, and it doesn't matter where you are, guys. You know, the tickets are like, general tickets is only $2.95. And if you want to have a VIP and really get to touch and eat with and get photos with Elizabeth Gilbert, that is $4.97, I think. So these are really doable tickets. And so register now because we're starting to fill. But I really want my listeners to get in there because this is your chance, to really see and really start acting on the things we talk about. And so you go to soulmanifesto.com. That's it. soulmanifestotogether.com. And you can get tickets now. And I would love to see you there and meet you all in person. And Candace, you're going to be awesome. But Candace, how do we find out more about you, too?
Well, there's a couple ways. You can go, if you're on Facebook, you like the whole social media thing, you can go to my business page, Candace Harper Love Coach. On Instagram, I'm at Candy Love Coach. Candy like the food you eat.
Yes.
And then also my website is theepicintensive.com.
Ooh,
and that's my current 90-day intensive. Yeah.
I love that.
It's all about healing the mother-daughter relationship for the sake of your love life. And it's Epic Intensive. And Epic stands for Empowering Practices for Intimate Connections.
And that is true. It really does. Coming to terms with your father and healing with your mother.
Totally.
I know. And everyone, take a look at soulmanifesto.com and get yourself a ticket. You can see us both in person, plus Elizabeth Gilbert. And as always, you have incredible nuggets. It's all about that self-acceptance that helps you to find that, like I said, that beautiful power within. The real power we have that stems from love. And it's better than anything you could ever think of. So always stay connected to yourself. Find that relationship. Stay connected to others because that feeds you. And stay connected to Source because that's where it all begins. Namaste.
This has been 30-Minute Moments featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now at wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.